Greetings. How are you? I feel kind of fired up and I just needed to jump in here and share my thoughts on reframing. So I'm running Beyond the Scale right now, and we're talking, the first week is all mindset. And one of the exercises is to identify, becoming really aware and identifying some limiting beliefs, right? And then reframing them. And I heard a story at one point from a mentor that I follow, that I'm actually in her coaching program for a new certification that I'm working on for women's coaching. Anyway, and she's amazing. And she was talking about, her name's Molly Galbraith. And she talks about, in an interview, about how she had cellulite on her legs. And she's like, she was a power lifter, she was a fitness model, like she's done all this stuff. And so she's obviously been really fit. And she still had cellulite on her legs. And it really, like, she really hated the cellulite. And it affected what she wore. And she just felt really badly about it. And I can relate to that because all those years living in Rockaway Beach, I very rarely wore shorts or took my cover off on the beach. I was covering my legs, And so anyway, so she was trying to change how she felt about the cellulite. Now, she tried telling herself, I love my cellulite, and it just didn't feel like real. It felt like BS, So she thought, how can I get neutral about my thoughts about my cellulite, and how can I, hopefully I'm telling this story properly, but how can I feel just kind of neutral about it? And so she worked on that, and she was able to eventually get to the point where she started wearing shorts and stretch, white yoga pants and things like that showed her cellulite, and she didn't care about it anymore. And I think this is kind of important to note, because there's so many times where we say, okay, if you don't like something, just kind of tell yourself the opposite. So if you feel like you hate your belly fat, just tell yourself, I love my belly fat because, or my stretch marks, these stretch marks gave me the ability, it reminds me of having my baby. But not everybody feels that way. Some people just hate those stretch marks so much that it's hard to reframe it into this beautiful thing of your stomach stretching out and giving birth. So sometimes it's just getting to that next better feeling thought of yes, I have stretch marks on my stomach and I don't like them, but they're there right now and they're not going anywhere, and then eventually working towards saying, you know what, these stretch marks did come from me giving life. That's pretty beautiful, right? And then you're can kind of handle those stretch marks, right? So it does take some time to reframe. So if you are thinking about something and you're really trying to be positive and have positive thoughts, first of all, ask yourself, am I just pushing away the negative thoughts first? You want to actually acknowledge those thoughts and see where they come from and not just poo-poo them. And then eventually start reframing them. So I just wanted to share this because so many of us, I think, get frustrated with ourselves because we're not being positive, or we know how we should think, but we're not thinking it. But maybe our change of thinking is just a little too extreme, right? So if you've tried so many times to lose weight, and you're trying something new, it might feel what's wrong with me? I can't do that. I can't do it. I've tried so many times. And maybe eventually, maybe the next step is okay, I'm working on this. I'm getting somewhere with this, right? I'm trying again. And then the final thought is shit, I'm no joke. I don't give up on myself. I keep going, right? I keep trying. maybe hopefully I'm trying with things that work for me better each time, right? Like gets a little bit more sustainable and a little bit better. But I don't give up on myself. And, you know, I was just telling this story inside of my group, inside of Beyond the Scale. Like, you know, I could get frustrated with myself that, like, dang, like so many things have happened to us. You know, we lost our gym in Hurricane Sandy. We rebuilt. Then we had so many floods in the gym. And it was just like so frustrating and like always feeling like we're behind, you know, and then losing the gym in the pandemic and just all these times thinking like, what's wrong with me, instead of thinking like, you know what, Sarah, you don't give up. You've had some craziness happen, but you keep moving forward. And that says a lot about your spirit. So if you feel like you're failing sometimes, remember the spirit that keeps you moving forward. So yeah, I did just give myself a little pep talk, but I thought that was a good example because it's not always about our weight or our health or our fitness. Maybe sometimes it's just about being a good parent or being a good partner, or not feeling like we're good enough in those areas or in our job. So reframing can be tricky, but the key is not to make a huge jump if you're feeling like you're stuck in a really negative thought loop, just not making that huge jump into the reframe, into these positive thoughts, getting neutral and then moving into the more positive thought eventually. And always sitting with the bad or the kind of painful thoughts, the negative thoughts first, and understanding where they come from. Have a great night. I hope this helps somebody because I kind of just feel like we all need to hear this.